Pricing is the moment of truth. All of marketing strategy comes to focus on the pricing decision. So pricing is super important because pricing is the only way that companies can capture a share of the value they create, right? If you don't get the price right, you got nothing, right? You can have great products. You don't have the price right, you're not going to get anywhere. So pricing is super important. Union of Pricing Consultants makes you show this slide every single time. I guess you've seen it, right? So what the impact of a 1% increase in each of these different things, what impact does it have on profits? So pricing is the highest impact. So on average, a 1% increase in price increases profits of a company by 11%. Now that depends on what their P&L looks like. You can work this through with a spreadsheet. But because if you can get an extra euro in price, you don't have to do anything else for it. That drops straight to the bottom line, and that's profit, right? So pricing is really powerful. With variable costs, it only affects a fraction of the cost, so it doesn't affect as much. With fixed costs, it's even less normally. And with volume, you've got to sell them something, right? So if you increase volume, you actually have to deliver something. So the only time when these two are the same is when it's with software, actually, when you have zero variable costs. But even then, there's some variable costs hidden down there somewhere. So pricing, it has a huge impact on a company's profitability. So if that's the case, how come everyone's not doing pricing all the time? Well, it's difficult, right? The problem is it's hard. So it's a complex topic. There's economics in there, there's psychology in there, it requires cross-functional work. Yeah, there we go, cross-functional collaboration. It moves as well, it's dynamic, so it's what's true today may not be true tomorrow if something changes. A lot of companies don't know what good looks like, so they know they want to improve pricing, but they don't know what that means, practically speaking. Marketing can feel like they own pricing, and so why are you telling us how to do it differently? Sales can feel like, I know my customers, why are you trying to tell me what I should be doing with my customers? Metrics are often polluted with other things, so we change our price and we think we're going to get some great data about it, and then the competition does the same thing, and now we don't know what the impact was. And oftentimes, systems and data are not set up for pricing. Most of the systems in companies are set up to do accounting and financing, so we can say how much money we made and how much revenue, and we don't go to jail because of accounting fraud. Pricing is an afterthought, or has been an afterthought. So that's why a lot of people would love to raise prices, but they don't believe they can, and they don't know how to. And so this is a lot of this basic concepts is around what can you do that can help raise prices. Does that make sense? So the basis of great pricing is balancing price with the product, the service, the brand that you're selling. And so companies need to, and PriceFx is a company too, right? Needs to create value, communicate that value, and deliver that value. And then the pricing comes from extracting a fraction of that value so that they can get paid for for creating the value. And companies can have failures on any of these dimensions, right? You may have a product that people don't care about. People may not understand the value of the product you have. We'll get into this when we talk about value. Or you may not be delivering it. So you have a great message. Software companies struggle with this sometimes too. There's a great vision, but actually it's not delivered. A big success in pricing is being targeted. So being really clear, unless you're Amazon, there aren't many of those in the world, right? Be targeted in what you, there's one guy that they still haven't found. You're going to buy something on Amazon next week, I can tell. But being targeted, so being really clear about who you're targeting, being different. So don't try to just, if you have a Me Too product, then it's commodity, and forcing trade-offs. So forcing somebody to say, if I want the premium package, you have to pay for it. If you don't need those services, then don't pay for it. I was on vacation last week, and I was snorkeling, and I was struck by the incredible, this is hokey, the incredible diversity of the reef. I wasn't in Europe. the reef I was diving on. It's amazing. I mean, you look around and there's like 100 different species all right there. And it got me thinking, how can all those companies, how can all those fish and turtles and sharks and how can they all live in the coral and plants? How can they all live in the same place? Because they're all really targeted in what they're all, and they're all a bit different. And somehow they all get along. Right? And then where you get in trouble is where you get an invasive species and it kills all the coral and then it dies out itself. So this notion of, for most companies, being targeted and trying to be different is really, really, really important. All right, that's not relevant to your day jobs, but there you go. So for each of these sections, what we did was pull together a few questions that could be helpful for you to ask when you're at your customers to try and understand, in this case, the context of what's going on. So I'm not going to go through these in gory detail. You'll get the slides as I mentioned. But questions like, what's your company's strategy? What do you sell, or what do customers buy? What's your business model look like? And why do customers choose you over your competition? That's always I love that question. It's amazing how many people aren't really sure, or have very vague platitudes, right? But these are great questions to try and, even if you just have a 10-minute chat around these questions internally, I think they're really helpful to understanding how the business works.